Oh, I'm small. Now I am big. Greetings. Welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. What's going on? Welcome back to Black Bear News, home of the Death Star mic. Oh my gosh. Was it Bella Salt Lakers Victory Gin is reposting the stream on X. Thank you, Victory Gin. Thank you. You is the best and the smartest. I appreciate it. Oh, my coffee is way over there. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Okay. You are this. You are the star of the show. Okay. Let's keep it that way. Well, what's going on, guys? What's going on? Folks with the most. All right, let's get into it. I've got to end the show right at 1:00, so we're live on YouTube, X, and on Telegram. If you want to watch the show on Telegram, you can totally do that. Telegram is the place for you. If you want to watch the show off of major platforms, I mean, Telegram's kind of a major platform, but it's kind of, I don't know. I feel like it's an interesting social media app. I actually rather like it. And I know, privacy is, well, privacy anywhere should not be assumed. But like when you're on Telegram and you're in a chat, you're kind of in a, I always wondered why Twitter never did something like this. I mean, you have groups. I guess you can group some people on Twitter. But, and I suppose you can make your account private, I suppose. I don't know. But it's kind of, it's just a channel, dedicated channel for specific news about a certain thing, which, kind of makes sense. So many levels. Okay. So much going on. I'm going to stop talking or rambling because I have time constraints today. Maybe I should get something to cover first. Is everybody okay? Everybody here? Did people have a good weekend? Did people, how's everyone feeling? Bad, good, indifferent, weirded out, stressed out, shaken, not stirred? Trying to do too many things at once is a problem. We'll start with some, the wacky weather is still going on. And we'll cover a little bit of that. This is in Iran. Israel did this because they hate Iran. Or something. Severe flooding caused by torrential rain in Spain. The rain in Spain falls somewhere in my brain. They're getting it too. They hate Spain. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It just seems a little bit ridiculous to me. I don't know. On some levels, not saying that weather can't be modified, but there are some cases in which it just doesn't make any sense. Why would anybody want it? If somebody can explain it to me in a way that I would go like, oh, sure. That sounds evil and messed up. Why would they do that, those mother truckers? You know, then but I don't, it just doesn't make, when you say it's all modified, I find it a little bit, right? Because it's just taking an extreme position, and extreme positions on anything are never good, right? You can't believe all conspiracies, and you can't believe that a conspiracy is always happening. One particular conspiracy is what I'm saying. Not there is a conspiracy always happening, but there are plenty of real conspiracies happening that need attention and need people to be concerned about. But if you believe in all conspiracies, you sound a little dopey, because then, you know, you just believe anything anybody tells you. Oh, that's totally not, whatever. You know what I'm saying? You know what is what I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to tell you some things that are true. If you believe that everything on one side of the political spectrum is true and everything on the other side is false, you're probably going to believe a lot of shit that's not true. So try and be skeptical of everything that people say to you. Okay? Okay. It's okay. And China still getting it. Could be, just consider that this could also be a form of geoengineering. June 22nd, 2025 was the busiest travel day in United States history. So sure, there's maybe planes in the sky that have contrails that are not real, or and I certainly believe that. But just consider that there's thousands and thousands of Southwest. I mean, the Southeast is very busy. Everybody's trying to go to the Caribbean. I feel like the summer is the wrong time to go to the Caribbean. It's hot. I'm just saying, if burned jet fuel in the atmosphere by thousands of planes a day, right, doesn't do something to the overall makeup of the what's going on, the climate or weather or anything like that, doesn't have any effect. I think is believing that doesn't have any effect is kind of silly. It's kind of silly. It's one of the sillier ideas I've ever heard. But go ahead and think it if you want. Let's see. Where are they going? That's true, Bella. Where are they going? Pardon me. Yeah, so maybe there's planes in the sky that are doing things for nefarious reasons. And sure, they're probably having an effect. But do you think all those planes flying all the time, like, it's the same thing with, they don't want you to drive your personal vehicle. Yeah, there's like billions of cars driving every single day pumping out smoke into the air. You don't think that that doesn't have any effect on anything? Are you sure? Well, and here's, I guess, one more argument around this, and then I'll shut up and move on. But everybody's, likes to bring up the private jets, the wealthy and the private jets, and the hypocrisy of talking about climate change. As you're flying around on your private jet. But hold on. When you make that argument, aren't you assuming that the private jets are bad for the environment? Right? You're assuming that the private jets are bad for the environment. I think. Am I right in assuming that that's what you're suggesting? I hope you're not suggesting that they're good for the environment. But innate in that assumption of hypocrisy, or that in that hypocrisy calling it out, innate is the assumption that private jets are bad for the environment. I feel like. Anyways. Again, if you think, billions of cars driving around on the road every day, 24 hours a day, belching out smoke into the air, if you think that's a good thing, I don't know. Turn your car on and close your garage door. And find out how dangerous that could get really quickly. I don't want to hear it's carbon monoxide. It's not the same as that. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. It's the same shit going into the air, whether it's in your garage or going into the atmosphere. It's all going into the air and all having the same effect, right? If it'll kill you in a few minutes, and billions of cars pumping that out into the air 24 hours a day won't adversely affect the environment. I mean, it just doesn't, you got to rub that one brain cell a little bit harder against nothing. But, I digress. Yeah, private jets are bad. And 20,000 jets a day is also bad. 20,000, commercial jets a day, also bad. You get it? Okay. All right. Are we hanging in there? Okay. All right. Oh, I really wish the spam would stop. The spam would stop. The spam would stop. You may not believe in climate change, but insurance companies sure do. Let's listen to this.
This is Cape Coral in Florida's Lee County, where several sources estimate there are more than 12,000 homes for sale in one of the worst markets for sellers in the USA. So what are they doing about it? Well, they're building new housing developments, that's what. We're going to focus down here on Southwest Florida, where they cannot give homes away right now. Seriously, check Zillow. $260,000 for a waterfront South Florida home. $175,000 for a 3-bed, 2-bath just blocks from the ocean. Why aren't people buying these places? What on earth could be wrong? Ooh, that's right. Home insurance and flood insurance costs here are skyrocketing. Hey, you might not believe in climate change, but insurance companies sure do. It's gotten so bad down here that the Daily Mail ran a story calling this a complete collapse of the housing market. Heck, they're even running foreclosure boat tours down here. So yeah, that's a thing. Now, you'd think that the one silver lining in all this would be that they'd stop new developments down here, and at least the environment would be spared. But exactly the opposite is happening. The land you're looking at below is sold for $100 million and will soon be known as Hudson Creek. They're going to have 3,500 houses, 500-room hotel, and over 400,000 square feet of strip malls full of Wendy's restaurants, Starbucks, and Chick-fil-A's. I'm not sure whether I'm furious or just embarrassed. Folks, 1 week ago, the Wall Street Journal called this the worst housing market in America. So I have no idea why the powers that be in Cape Coral think this might be appropriate. They may have an answer for you. Go ahead and click the link in my bio and click on this button on my website, and it'll take you right to a page where you can ask them yourself. That's all from Cape Coral, Florida, the land of 12,000 unsellable homes, with more on the way. Thanks for watching Beyond Florida.
It's also happening in California with fire insurance and flood insurance. They're pricing in, insurance companies are pricing in the likelihood of being burned out of your home or flooded out of your home. And how many catastrophic flood events did we see just last week all over the planet? They're making it rain a lot so they can destroy the housing market. Shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up. Let's see. We're moving on to a different subject now. More on the way, exactly. I mean, I guess they want to buy up private equity to buy up, all the homes anyway, so nobody will own their home. But I just, I don't know why, like I just still not clear on the concept of destroying the economy so that you can have a greater market share of what? And I get eventually, right, sure, in an economic downturn that may or may not be engineered, I get that people, these things can be manufactured in order for people to buy up things at cheap, on the cheap. But we live in a capitalist system, and that, that, I guess, sure. I just, even the idea, 15-minute smart city, sure. I know that there are plans for that, or the, own nothing and be happy 2030. I get all that stuff. I get all that, but it's like, if nobody is like, it does actually become like a totalitarian kind of communism. And if nobody's making any money, if nobody has any money, like where's the profit margin in everybody being a prisoner? Do you understand what I'm saying? And I think the idea is that, 15-minute smart city is like kind of an outdoor prison, basically. But if everybody's a prisoner, right, of a command and control kind of economy, like where nobody's making any money, everybody is kind of a slave to the system. How is that, where is the profit margin in that? Like eventually there, it's, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody's got to make some money somewhere in order to keep the thing going. If this is the system we're talking about. It's all very short-sighted. It's all right. All of it runs on it. The idea of like short-term profit at the expense of long-term stability. And none of that makes any kind of sense. Even, the 15-minute city, you will own nothing and be, none of that makes any sense. I'm just trying to understand, because I don't understand. I don't get it. Right. If everybody's locked into this technocratic panopticon, 15-minute city, like how do you, You just have control. That's all you have, but you don't have, your control is based on pretty much just power, you know, because the money part isn't really happening. So it's just, what is that? What kind of world is that? What kind of, who, I don't know. I just don't understand. I don't understand like who, they don't care about money at the control. Sure. I mean, yeah, sure. I guess so. But there is no, and again, the unintended consequences of that, the level, the likelihood of blowback and unintended consequence, um, that margin starts to go high, right? You're playing with fire. You're you're betting on the idea that you're going to stay in control, that people are going to be okay with this. There's not going to be any consequences. That's what you're betting on. And, so I can see it. I can see the reality of it. I can see the veracity of it. I just don't understand. I just don't understand what the goal, the actual goal of it. I just don't. Yes, I know what the goal is. I just don't understand it. I just don't understand why anybody would want it. Even the people in charge. I don't understand why you would want it. Chad Miano says, all these conspiracy theories are based on the fact that the average person is unable to accept the reality that most of our existential fears stem from our immense complex civilization. Yeah. Well, and it's just, I mean, capitalism, I guess, on the level that it has mostly been run is, it's run on, not paying attention to, not counting in externalities. And, for a long time, capitalism banked on, well, it still does, on slave labor or very cheap labor or very, right. But capitalism still relies on people to actually purchase the things that you make in order to, to realize the profit. But I don't know. Maybe maybe they're all just like, yeah, it's all going downhill and we're just grabbing everything that we can at the end, I guess. Okay, let's, man, I got to really get going here. And I guess I'll just do this now. If you like the show, if you really appreciate the show, if you like the show being free for your viewing pleasure, Monday through Friday. We're here mostly every day at noon at Pacific time. If you like the show, consider supporting the show at the links in the description box. All the usuals are there. PayPal, Venmo, CashApp, Zelle, Buy Me a Coffee, Ko-Fi, Patreon. Substack. Ghislaine Maxwell offers to testify before Congress on Epstein's sex trafficking scheme. The one that doesn't exist. The one that's not real. Epstein's ex-girlfriend and co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell, has signaled that she would be willing to testify before Congress regarding the part she played in facilitating sex trafficking of underage girls. This is a weird story to me. and I won't read too much more. In fact, that's all I wanted to read. That's the story. She's offering to testify before Congress. I want to know if she's planning on being around much longer. Because she's still, if she has extensive knowledge of things that Epstein was doing, I think there's a lot of people, powerful people, interested in people not knowing that stuff. So if this is, yes, so, of course, I want to know, like, if this is real and this is a real story, and she's actually offering to do that, I think she's really, well, maybe she has nothing. She feels like she has nothing to lose. I don't know, but I don't see her being on the scene much anymore, if that's what she's really trying to do. I don't know about that. Yeah. All right. And there's a lot. A friend of mine said, very rightly, that this story is this Trump's handling of the Epstein case is something that could really unite people. And I pretty much said the same thing. She is locked up. Yeah. She is locked up. Yeah, because nobody believes anything they're telling the masses about what's going on. Nobody believes that Epstein killed himself. Nobody believes this story. So, ticking time bomb. Trump's favorite show, Fox and Friends, tells him he has screwed up by trying to ignore the Epstein scandal.
Lots and lots of questions that have been swirling about Jeffrey Epstein for a long time, for over 10 years, and the government's involvement in it. If there's anybody who could walk in and say, okay, we've resolved all of the questions and there is nothing here, it would be President Trump and his crew. The problem is you can't really do it without giving some explanation. And there has to be some explanation. And I think that's why you have a lot of people still pretty with a lot of very valid questions about it.
You absolutely nailed it. You can defuse this ticking time bomb if you simply get out there, sit down, the AG, get the deputy director, and get the director himself. Put them in front of cameras, have them make a statement, and have them answer questions. We're only talking about 5 or 10 questions. But what this will do is, first of all, restores confidence.
That's not going to happen. It looks like that's not going to happen. And so it's probably going to unravel for them. I don't know how they're going to play this. He's not, you're right, Bella. The president is supposed to have a crew. He's not supposed to be. Sorry, I didn't turn the turducken. Yeah. Yeah. So everyone is upset about this. The base. All right, we're going to keep going. There's a lot of parts of this story I'm playing and trying to get through very quickly. This is great. Somebody made this. I don't know what this is. Let's watch that again. Oh, we don't have that. Oh. All right, that was it. This is a post on Truth Social, I guess. Trump just stooped for Epstein again, claiming the Epstein files are akin to the fake Hillary Clinton Steele dossier. Wow. So he says it's all faked. It's all fake, and all this is from Obama and Biden. Okay. And he's saying they haven't given up the JFK or Martin Luther MLK files. He's saying it like somebody is keeping them from him, which is just ridiculous. He has power to do something about that too. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, something. Let Pam Bondi do her job. What job is she doing? Anyways, it's just insane ramblings from this guy. And he is screaming and kicking. Whitney Webb says she's got some more info to lay out on this for people. Given that a lot has sure happened since I've been on medical maternity leave, I feel now is a good time to announce that I've been working on a series of articles over the past year that will provide a lot of new information and context on the Trump-Epstein relationship, and also the very significant ties of Epstein to close friends of Trump, including at least one that has been appointed to an important post in the current administration. Ooh, tantalizing. Also, there are some revelations that will be quite troubling for Andrew Cuomo. Unlimited Hangout will begin publishing these articles over the next few months, including an upcoming print magazine from Unlimited Hangout. Okay. That's interesting. This is an interesting, more on this. Hold on. Sorry for there's a lot here. Why is it getting a lot of traction? Because people are wondering why this is a current story. It's important to people, and they're doing their best to make everyone feel like crazy for thinking the way they think about it, or having concerns for it around it. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about. Yeah. James Lee, this video got my TikTok banned. We are not a free country. Well, no duh. I mean, social media is allowing people to talk about things that they weren't allowed to talk about, or share information that was, hard to exchange or get your hands on in prior eras. And now it's freely out there, and people are learning things and discussing things and being skeptical of things. And this could possibly lead to some significant changes in, how people perceive the people in charge, or how they actually, want to proceed in organizing their lives around, something more fair. But there's basically silencing people, stripping away their rights, their First Amendment rights, in order to, make sure that things aren't revealed. I think this was the video he's talking about.
Is the director of the FBI caught up in an Israeli honeypot operation? All right, here's the context. Quote, some social media users have wondered whether the FBI and the U.S. Justice Department's refusal to release the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients could have something to do with Alexis Wilkins, the 26-year-old girlfriend of 45-year-old FBI Director Kash Patel. This is what people online are pointing to, the fact that Patel's girlfriend, Alexis Wilkins, works for PragerU, which is a media company that supposedly espouses American values, except for the fact that it is run by a former Israeli military intelligence officer. Now, I did a bunch of digging, and unfortunately, there's actually not a lot of public information to go off of in terms of Alexis Wilkins' background. Now, what I was able to find is that her father worked for Gillette and that her mother was in aerospace and pharmaceuticals. It also says that they lived in England and Switzerland before settling in Fayetteville, Arkansas when she was 9. It also says that she attended College du Le Monde International School in Switzerland. Now, interestingly, ChatGPT is calling this a strange biographical gap in that she has no visible friend network or public high school college cohort interviews, which they say is unusual for a public figure in entertainment, and that if a Mossad asset were inserted early in life, these gaps would be precisely where you would hide alternate history or handler training. Dr. Simon Goddick says that Alexis Wilkins is nearly 20 years younger than Kash and also works for an NGO that's basically Israeli intelligence. That's PragerU that he's referring to. And he says, seriously, why would an attractive young woman date a not so attractive Indian American? Classic honeypot. I mean, I don't know. Who are we to really judge what people are attracted to and not attracted to? Anyway, I'm not sure what's true or what's not true, but evidently these are, quote, classic elements used in honeypot operations: soft power, ideological alignment, and sexual emotional entanglement.
Speaking of honeypots, speaking of compromised, when Elon is out there saying, yeah, we're going to start the American Party and we're going to do things differently and everything's going to be different. SpaceX helped Israel launch a quote unquote communication satellite from Cape Canaveral. And there's lots of knowledge around the fact that maybe Elon was honeypotted as well from his most recent, I think, baby mama. But who knows? Israel's most advanced communication satellite successfully launched into space. Really? Just communications. That's all. Max Blumenthal says Israel will now have more power to spy on the American and global population thanks to U.S. taxpayer support. So really, Elon Musk is an outsider. He cares about the American people. He's worried about debt and the Trump and the bill and the two-party system, and he just wants freedoms for the people. He really cares about you. Sure. Tell me more, Elon. Oh. All right, trying to get in what I can. Let's keep going. Reminder that Jeffrey Epstein died under Donald Trump. This is true too. In a federal facility overseen by his attorney general, Bill Barr, the same Bill Barr whose father first gave Epstein access to kids and a job at the Dalton School when he had zero qualifications to teach there. The Bill Barr who worked at the law firm Kirkland and Ellis, which represented Epstein in the Florida case. So Well, it's easier to think about this way is if he didn't die, if he was escaped, right? Bill Barr, his firm, they worked to represent Epstein, and they, have extensive history with him. You know what I'm saying, yo? You know what I'm saying, yo? Hold on one second. Let me get something else that's relevant to this. Yeah, let's keep going. Let's keep going. 2 hours after Jeffrey Epstein's body was found on 8/10/2019, this message was posted to 8chan from inside the Metropolitan Correctional Center. We're just assuming this is real. Here's what it said. Oh, and 8chan was taken down permanently soon after. Not saying anything after this, please do not try to dox me, but last night after the 4:15 a.m. count, they took him to medical, Epstein, in a wheelchair, front cuffed, but not one triage nurse said they spoke to him. Next thing we know, a trip van shows up. We do not do releases on the weekends unless a judge orders it. Next thing we know, he's put in a single man cell and hangs himself. Here's the thing, the trip van did not sign in, and we did not record the plate number, and a guy in a green dress military outfit was in the back of the van, according to the tower guy who let him through the gate. You guys, I'm shaking right now, but I think they switched him out. Sure. All right. All right. All right. I'm getting through these. Okay, let's break it up with just a little bit of comedy from David Cross. This is how I feel when MAGA says they're starting to regret their vote.
President Trump, I'm starting to regret my vote. What? Now? Now you're starting to regret. Yeah, that's right. I mean, I was fine in the beginning. I can overlook, and I'm okay with the blatant racism and the crass sexism and the deranged narcissism and pandering to Nazis and supporting pedophiles and proudly bragging about being a sexual predator and paying your mistress to have an abortion and openly cheating your employees and mocking the disabled and praising murderous dictators and the constant pathological lying, the petty vindictive cruelty, the staggering ineptitude, the unapologetic corruption, the nepotism, the mob ties, the calculated mendacity, ignorance as to how American government works, encouraging violence against those that question your authority, the theft of our tax dollars to pay off your mountain of debt and or go golfing. Did I mention the relentless lying? You're a liar. Being a white nationalist, demonizing immigrants, the obvious disregard of the Bill of Rights, lying about whether Russia had hacked our election when you knew all along it had, then lying about it, the collusion with our sworn enemy and the sworn enemy of democracy, your dereliction of duty, your treasonous activities, and I was with you when you cheated. I was with you when you cheated on your wife with that porn star, the one you compared favorably to your daughter. You cheated on your wife, not the wife you raped, but the current wife who had just given birth to your son. And of course, I was with you when we found out you cheated with the Playboy Playmate, the one you compared favorably to your daughter, not with the wife you have now, but the second wife whose kid you ignore. And of course, I was with you, President Trump, when you took the babies away. You took infants breastfeeding, literally breastfeeding from their mothers and fathers, the families who had made this arduous trek to come here and seek asylum. They just wanted to seek asylum. And you took them and you deported the parents, and you took them and separated them, sent the kids hundreds of miles away in a disused Walmart inside of a cage with armed guards pointing guns at them. And then, of course, thus ensuring the private prison contractors Core Civic and Geo Group, who donated heavily to you, can get paid their collective $4 billion in profit. As those toddlers sob and whimper in absolute terror, traumatized for life, of course I was with you with that. But this last omnibus spending bill is where I draw the line.
He's got some good points in there. He's got some good points in there. Yeah, no. All right, we're moving. We're grooving. We're doing it. We're doing it. Man, have you guys seen this video where they are shooting at Palestinians waiting for food? Again, the crime of starvation is unfolding before the eyes of the world. People choose to die by bullets outside the Israeli-American hunger engineering centers rather than from starvation. So far, no fewer than 1,000 starving Palestinians have been killed outside these centers. This is wild. Are they like shooting at people as crowd control? I think that's what's happening. Yeah. Horrific. Oxnard Fire Department blocked the ICE with their fire trucks. That's pretty cool. Oxford Fire Department used their own fire truck to block military vehicles from terrorizing the community. Nicely done. We've seen some instances of local fire departments and or police departments helping to shoo away some of the ICE Gestapo. CSU Channel Islands professor Jonathan Anthony Caravello was arrested and disappeared by ICE in Camarillo yesterday. 4 pigs dragged Jonathan away without giving the reason for arrest and without disclosing where they were taking him. I would think if he's a professor, I'm sure he's probably a legal citizen. Like, what the hell? His whereabouts are still unknown. Why are you arresting this person? I don't really understand.
Member Jonathan Caravello has been kidnapped by ICE and is still missing. Jonathan is a beloved professor, community member, and family member who has always used his voice to speak up for those around him. The night before Jonathan was kidnapped, he was speaking at City Council to defend his students against the most recent ICE raids in our community.
Many of my students are undocumented and many of their families are undocumented. It's my responsibility to protect them. And so I've been patrolling the city streets, following armed masked thugs trying to kidnap my neighbors.
Arriving at this peaceful protest next to his university, we saw ICE run over protesters with their vehicles and relentlessly tear gas the peaceful protesters, targeting the most vulnerable, including our elderly, as well as people with disabilities. Other CSUCI faculty, students, and staff were also at this peaceful protest, but Jonathan was targeted multiple times by ICE agents for helping other protesters. He was then attacked by over 4 ICE agents, unidentified, and dragged away into an unmarked vehicle. Another protester was kidnapped by ICE agents in the exact same way. Dozens of ambulances were coming in and out of the raid for the workers being impacted by ICE's even more intense violence on the inside. And as we continue to look for our loved ones and all those who are impacted by these glass house raids, please use these resources and please help us continue searching for Jonathan Caravello.
There's a lot of those stories too. Unfortunately, there's many of those stories. All right, last one. Weird video of former Obama appointee Nita Farahany talking about implanting false memories into people's minds and remotely torturing them. Just a little talk, a little TED talk at WEF.
Having seen that person commit the crime, even though that person's utterly innocent, that it becomes a planted memory. And so there's some really interesting research that we can plant false memories in the brain. And in a different context, one of the emerging areas that's really interesting.
That was some duping delight, wasn't there? Right there.
There's some really interesting research that we can plant false memories in the brain. And in a different context.
The look on her face right there is just, a little excited, like, we could just put things in people's minds. It's it's really interesting. Okay, lady.
One of the emerging areas that's really interesting in law and neuroscience is pain detection. And once we understand the circuitries that cause pain, I guess the question is, could we then instill pain and use that in many?
Because that's the if we figure out the circuitry which causes pain, the question is, can we cause it? That's just what normal people think immediately. Like, oh, right. I can remotely cause somebody pain, or I know how to manipulate these pain centers. You know what I think? I'm going to cause some pain. That's what people think. No, that's what ghouls. This woman looks like a ghoul. That's what ghouls think.
Coercive measures in the legal system as well. So
wow, that's amazing.
Coercive measures in the legal system. So she means like torturing folks, torturing some folks. We're torturing some folks. Just torturing some folks. Okay. Just causing some torture. No big deal. Weird. All right, guys. That's just, the first thing I think of is if I could remotely torture somebody, would I do it? Oh, heck yeah. No, wouldn't do that. There's lots of ways to do that anyways, right? There's lots of ways to cause people pain or emotional pain, or, and people manipulate that all the time. But that's, it's like, this is, Timothy says your car payment is due in 10 days or we send the pain. It's like, people that think that, there are people in charge just want to, they just want what's best for people. They wouldn't do anything crazy, like, hurt people or, think about new and improved ways to torture and kill people. No, they don't do, these are good people out there. Are they? Did you see her face when she's talking about this? Like, she's kind of a little giddy. Nah, people are not like you and I, right? Always the thing to remember is that there are people, and a lot of them are attracted to powerful positions. That's why they're attracted to these positions, who don't have the same kind of moral compass that most people have. So you think that, most people are, and it's true, most people are just good people and they don't want to hurt people, but there are some real psychopaths out there. There's some real psychopaths, right? That stonks. there are real psychopaths in the world, right? That don't operate like you and I, that don't have like the same kind of moral compass, that actually really get off on hurting people, that, you know, just sit around and scheme about new and improved ways of, you know, taking people out or whatever. You know, they're these psychopaths they really exist. They do. And so you have to really like understand that that's a reality in the world. Most people have some kind of like basic moral compass, but not always. And when you meet one of those people, the thing to do is to shun them immediately and without remorse. Cast them out. Or, you know, vote them into office, whichever you want to do. You know, just you choose. You choose your own adventure. All right, guys, that does it for me. I don't know if I have anybody to thank as of yet today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. Thanks for supporting. And I'm going to see you tomorrow at the regular time of 12 p.m. Pacific. Take good care. Enjoy the rest of the day. And peace out.